Hi, welcome to Narcshield. My name is Jennifer, and this is part 2 where I talk about the Chris Watts and Shanannwatts case. And it's a couple of years old. And this is, so if you haven't seen part 1, you may want to go back and look at part 1 so that my video kind of flows and makes sense to you. But in part 1, I kind of was giving a little bit of backstory on the Chris Watts and Shanannwatts case, but I was talking about Chris Watts' mother at the very end of that video, and so I wanted to go ahead and do part 2 with that. So, but I can kind of keep the flow going there. So if you want to watch the other parts, please hit the subscribe button and the alert button, and the alert button will let you know when I post the next video, because I believe this is going to be in parts, and I explain in the first video why I am doing this video. But basically I talk about narcissistic relationships, and I saw this one as one that had a lot of narcissistic traits in it, and so I decided to do it on my channel. But it's been about a year that I have been paying attention to it and learning about this case, and so I'm just kind of going with it here. So Chris Watts's mother, so one of the other things that I noticed with her as we go on from the first video was that she is like a lot of people who think that bad people are like the people that you see, that we're used to seeing, that are psychopaths that have killed people, like the Dahmers, who have killed animals when they were small children and did really weird things when they were small children. And so she keeps trying to express that, you know, he wasn't like this. Our family's normal. We were normal. He did normal things. He played sports. He, you know, we did everything for them. You know, I just wanted my children to have everything. I did everything for them. And she's trying to normalize, you know, because she feels like she's being judged. And it's not just him that she's worried about being judged. It clearly shows that she's worried about her being judged. And so she's trying to explain, and she's saying, you know, I want to tell my side of the story, which I totally think that she should be able to do so. But because she's so worried about what everybody else is thinking about her, this is why she's doing that. And what she doesn't understand, and what I think is really important for people to understand when it comes to people with certain personality disorders, is that you don't have to be overt and be a psychopath. You can actually be covert. And one of the ways that she describes her son is, you know, she said when he was younger, he was a little awkward and shy. And so when she was trying to say that he wasn't like this type of person, you know, he couldn't be. He was so shy, and he was kind of awkward when he was growing up, and he never did anything. He played sports, and he was always the good kid. He never did anything. He never even went through the normal teenage years when, you know, teenagers do bad things, and parents are like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do with this kid. She was like, he was never like that. He was the perfect child, the perfect son. And she, you know, let's see, I've written some things. Let's see. She says, you know, people are looking at him and her family like they're monsters, and they're not monsters. And so she's trying to explain how they're not, by giving these type of examples. And when she's doing that, sometimes she'll pepper in some things or salt in some things about Shanann. And it's like she wants to put that blame there, which would be blame shifting or deflecting. And hey, stop looking at me and look at Shanann and what she did and the type of person that she was. And my son was married to her and he couldn't take it anymore. And that's what she's doing. And that's a narcissistic trait. And that's something that you look at when you're looking at narcissistic abuse. And so here she's trying to normalize their family, pretend that everything was perfect in the family. You know, maybe they did have that facade of a perfect family, but apparently things weren't so perfect. And she's not aware that you don't have to just be like that, that psychopaths and narcissistic type personalities or sociopaths can come from families where you did too much for your children, you coddled your children too much, you gave them everything that they wanted, you controlled them too much. It could be a lot of things like that. You had high expectations of them, and and they felt like they had to be perfect, and so maybe he was the perfect child. Maybe he was faking that. Maybe he was trying to be the perfect kid or the perfect person, so that he got attention. There's a lot of things that come with that. So even when she's trying to get out of the hot seat there, she doesn't realize that it doesn't necessarily help her, because he could be a covert narcissist / sociopath. I actually definitely think he is both, or you know, at least shows the traits of both, because I can't diagnose him. So and she keeps saying, I want the truth, I just want the truth. And she doesn't seem to be able to face what the truth actually is, that Chris killed them. He killed his wife, he killed the 2 children, and even the 3rd child that was on the way, threw them in one of those oil tank things on the job site and just kind of dumped Shanann out and the baby out. The kids knew that daddy had killed mommy, and he acted like everything was normal so that he could go and have another life with Nicole Kessinger, which I will talk about that later. It will probably be in the next video. And she wants to know why he did, you know, why, and I don't understand. And she doesn't want to face the truth that he did it. She really wanted to face the truth that Shanann killed the kids and that he killed Shanann because he saw her killing the kids. She wants to believe that so badly. I understand that, you know, we all have cognitive dissonance, and it's like my reality is I cannot face that truth, so I've got to find something over here to hang on to, because I cannot look at that. And she did admit that in one of the videos that I saw of her talking, that, you know, it was just hard for her to look at, and that she just, you know, it was hard for her to sit in that place. And so, but she does indirectly keep trying to blame Shanann. And if you don't want to look bad, like, that's the victim here. I wouldn't do that. And it shows in her face, like the malice shows in her face, and she wonders why she gets backlash from people. It's like she's probably better not to say anything right now. But I mean, I understand wanting to tell your truth and your story. I get it. But I don't know that it's necessarily helping to get that support that you're needing. I mean, it's definitely horrible. I can't even imagine, you know, going through what that family's going through. I can't imagine going through what the family's going through, what Shanann's family's going through either. It's really sad that all of this has happened, but you know, again, in the last video, I talked about how she kept saying, I can't handle it. How will I go on? You know, how can I deal with this? And she goes on, and she never says anything about her son in prison and Shanann's family. And instead of, she just, I instead of we. And so I felt like her book was to save face and because she felt judged, and that she wanted sympathy from people. And I do understand that, you know, they're victims in this as well. You know, they've lost a lot as well. But I don't see the empathy. I just don't see the empathy at all. She, you know, this is more about the kids, Shanann. I mean, granted, the whole family lost them, but, you know, they were victims at the hands of her son. So I don't understand her at all. So I feel like she has been getting what is called a narcissistic injury time and time again, and she just can't take it, even when it's talked about with her son, whether it be towards her family or her. She's taking it as personal criticism, and she needs to get control back. And she doesn't know how to get that control back, because that's what's going to soothe her. And she wasn't able to get her son to do anything. She can't really say anything to her son, and she lost complete control in this whole situation, and she wanted it. She wanted that back, and she needed that. And I don't think she's able to self-reflect upon herself, to see some of this, and that also is a narcissistic trait. But again, I don't really know her personally. I'm only seeing time and time again all these things that she has said in part of her books, and so I'm just going on that information. But she says she wants to understand her son. I think she wants to talk to him, and she wants him to explain it to him. I think it's better to just try to understand herself. I understand wanting to understand it, but you're never going to really know the truth. She's just never going to really know the truth, and I don't think she even understands the bigger picture of things. I really don't. So she says things like, no matter what you think of me, and then she's trying to prove to be, once again, a good mother. And she says over and over how much she loves him and how she will always love him, and that she doesn't understand why people can't understand that. Maybe there are people out there who can't understand that. I don't think it's that. I think it's that, Shanann was your daughter-in-law, and the kids were your family as well. And it would be nice to hear that you say that about them, and how you miss them, and how, you will always love them. And I don't ever hear that kind of stuff. It's, she's always saying that as if she's like, trying to prove herself again as this loyal and good mother. And she's so wrapped up into what other people think about her that I think it's what makes her stand out in a negative way, is what the notes I've written to myself as I'm looking at this. She talks about how perfect he was, as I said earlier, and I think that should scream as a red flag in itself. We are not perfect. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. We've all done things. We all have growing pains, and that would scream out as a red flag. And if he was perfect and he never acted out and never showed anger or anything like that, then he talks about how his anger is buried deep and that it doesn't come out. And, truthfully, they say that people who let their anger out are healthier than those who hold it in. And he apparently was able to kind of control it and hold it in a certain way. But then when it explodes, it ignites into something scary, as we all see. The thing that makes him more sociopathic, he definitely has narcissistic. I want to say he has very, very high narcissistic traits if he's not diagnosed narcissistic personality disorder combined with being a sociopath. I don't know, because I can't do that, but what makes it seem more sociopathic is that he actually did have a plan. He did plan some of this stuff out. It was not something that just was out of an ignited fury and just he snapped and he did it. There was a plan to it. He definitely was devaluing his wife. He definitely was wanting out of that life because of split thinking that people have with these type of disorders. And so the split thinking is, now Shanann is all bad and Nicole is all good. And it can change back and forth and he was all wrapped up into this relationship with Nicole, which we will get into other videos. And so Shanann, unfortunately, was in devaluation, and so were the kids. They no longer served a purpose for him anymore. He needed to get rid of them to have this other life, or at least he felt like he did. And I will talk about that and why he felt that way in my other videos. So I saw that as a major red flag, and I said apparently he faked it because he felt he had to be perfect. And why did he feel like he had to be perfect? Was it expected? Was everything he did expected? What did they pretend to be the perfect family all the time? Did he feel malice against Shanann because there are many things about Shanann that reminded him of his mother in many ways, and it was a subconscious thing? Shanann, God love her, she beautiful person, but she also too, she did everything for him. She made sure he had everything he needed. She labeled things for him, bought things for him, bragged about him, gave him excuses. She just adored him. She had him on a pedestal. And it could be that, he felt like he had to be a certain way and couldn't really be who he really was. And then when she saw who he really was and was surprised by it, he had malice for her, because that's a narcissistic injury, and that is why he killed her. Part of the reason why he killed her. And when we talk in this, when it's talked about in the psychology world, it's a trigger, and it's a trigger from where? From childhood. So I wonder if he has some seriously deep-seated issues with his mother. And I'm gonna go on and bank that he does, and go on and say that I'm almost 100% sure that the family wasn't perfect, that he wasn't perfect, and as we all know, and there were some underlying things going on. I'm not saying that it was on purpose. We all do the best that we can in raising our children and getting on with life, but we don't all go out and murder people either to just start a whole new life. So there's a lot to learn here, and to try to look at things that could have been prevented and seen. His mother did not like Shanann, and she was quite vocal about it. And now when I start to talk about Nicole Kessinger and Chris Watts in my next videos, I'm going to talk about how many people, and even the detectives, kept asking, did Nicole Kessinger, the woman he was having the affair with, put in your head that you needed to get rid of your wife or get rid of your kids, and say bad things about them? Well, she may have, but so we'll get into that in the other videos. But Mom did all the time. She did it all the time. She didn't go to the wedding. That family did not go to, they did not go to the wedding. Grandma did, but sister, dad, Mom did not go to the wedding. She did not want Chris with Shanann. She didn't agree with anything Shanann did. She did not have anything really nice to say about Shanann, and did not think that she was the right person for her son, even though her son made the decision to marry her, and that was his choice. It was not her choice, and she felt that she knew better, and he went against her. It's so many things that are narcissistic injuries, hit by hit by hit. And so Mom is, maybe she just can't self-reflect and see it, but all along over the 8 years that they were together is constantly putting in these little droplets of hints of how Shanann is not the right fit for him. She says it to the world. She openly admits it to the world. So she was saying it to her son as well, and that is something that when he was being interrogated by the detectives, he pulled on that to try to find a reason of why he did what he did. He was like, I don't understand why I did what I did. All this rage came out, and I just don't know why I did what I did. I don't know why I was so mad at her, because they kept saying, why were you mad at Shanann? Why were you so mad at your wife and your children? Why would you do something like this? And he was like, I guess because she, her and my family didn't get along, and, she isolated me from my family. These are all things that Mom kept saying over and over and over, and he grabbed onto that. He latched onto that, and she continues to say these things today. And, in her book and in her interviews, she just keeps on with the excuses. And I haven't heard her say anything about the affair with Nicole Kessinger, but I will get into that in the next video. So on to the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and go ahead and hit that bell so that you'll go ahead and get the next video alerts as well. All right, see you over there. Bye.